Guys, what's up? Welcome back to another YouTube video. You'll probably already know this gym behind me. If you watched anything to do with my prep last year, this is where I actually done the majority of my prep, at least about 16 weeks of it anyway. We're here in EP Jungle and there's so much more equipment even compared to what I used last year. There's just so many new pieces, and by new pieces I also mean old pieces, because there's a lot of flex stuff being added here. I do believe there's also like 6 more prime pieces coming, which of course you guys will be, you know, right up that sort of street. But they are actually, I believe, taking the Strive stuff out. So everything that they've got to do with Strive, I think they're replacing that with new prime stuff. But like I say, I've not been here in about, I think it'll be about maybe 10 months I've not been here. In the process of 10 months, this is like a whole new gym again, which is just absolutely incredible, you know. But I think that's one of the most important factors, and who owns EP is very much, you know, he's constantly investing back into the gym, you know. And I think from like a member perspective, no matter what the membership prices and that are in here, like, you are fucking getting way more for your money than I think you're getting in a lot of other places. This gym is fucking incredible, and any opportunity I get, you know, we're literally just bypassing Manchester, so of course it would be rude not to stop in and have my training session here. We're in for pull anyway. It's Saturday, it's deadlift day, you know guys, nothing changes. I'm not going to deadlift first today though. Today we're going to be training a little bit of back first, and then we'll find a bar, we'll hit the platform there. We're going to hit this Nautilus pull down first. I see they've also got a Cybex horizontal row, which looks absolutely incredible. I've spotted a Flex chest supported T-bar row as well, which looks absolutely fucking incredible, so we'll no doubtably use that. And then from there, we'll definitely hit some we'll deadlift. At what point of the session, I do not know. Am I going to come on the camera and talk about the whole session? Again, I don't know. We're going to have fun. That is one of the most important parts, you know. Adaptability is definitely a big part to this as well, because this isn't my usual gym, you know. I'm not used to the equipment in here. But does that mean I can't come in and have a really fucking good session? Absolutely not. You know, we adapt, we overcome, we come into it. If there's movements that I do at home that I can't do in here, I find a variation of that and I make it work. I still attack that body part. That's the most important factor. So again, if you're one to have to potentially chop and change your gym, maybe depending on things like work and that, you can't maybe use your normal local gym that you're used to, doesn't mean you just go in and you crumble and you have a shit session. You go in, you adapt, you build that by going through phases, you know, and that's one of the most important factors to be able to make sure that you still progress from a physique development standpoint. But without further ado, we're going to head back, sit back, relax, enjoy. If you can, drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and it's back day. Horizontal row next, again keeping it single arm. I done one set single arm on the Nautilus pull down, and then my second set I just done both at the same time, to be honest, just to be a little bit more time convenient, because I also don't just want to kind of get carried away with doing too much single arm stuff. Yeah, of course I've got access to some really cool pieces today that, you know, I could do a lot of single arm work on, but I also just don't want to take up like 45 minutes of the session just to do like 4 sets single arm. So I'm kind of maybe going to do a top set single arm, and then maybe the back off, or if I'm going to do straight sets, I'll just do my last set on both at the same time, again just to be a little bit more on the time convenient side. We will do this Cybex horizontal row, and then what we'll do is we will move to the flex chest supported T-bar. From there, then I would like to deadlift. So I'm also not leaving it too late, but at the same time as that, I know that I'm fucking so warm. Okay. Ooh. No, I'm not deadlifting in my shoes. My feet are just super cold still, so I'm probably going to do first few warm-ups in the Jordans, then take them off. Big key tip whenever it does come to deadlifts, guys. Honestly, I don't care what you're wearing, just take your shoes off, because you tend to find the reason your execution is poor on something like a deadlift is because of your feet positioning. And usually when your feet positioning's off, it's because the footwear that you're using isn't allowing for good balance, good stability. That's then not allowing you to brace well, keep your upper back tight. So you find that actually is the reason why. It's not because you can't deadlift. It's not because you just can't find that perfect execution. It is simply because footwear. So what I would strongly suggest is, whenever you are pulling first, think about your footwear. You can get deadlift shoes. I mean, if you want to go down that route and you want to invest into your deadlifts, you could do that. Or just deadlift in your socks. Everything will be better. Balance, stability, core control, your execution will just, it'll just fall into place, you know, it'll be significantly better. A little debrief on deadlifts. 300 for 6 paused. Again, I chose to not go above 300, to be honest, just because of how 260 and 280 felt. I probably could have went above 300, maybe to that kind of 320 marker, but to be honest, you know, everything just felt different. I'm not the warmest either from like a body temperature perspective. Like there's body parts that still feel quite cold, so I just didn't want to try and go to a point of where I maybe would have only got 1 or 2 reps, and then I would have forced myself to do a back off and just kind of add a little bit more central nervous system fatigue, you know. I didn't want to take it too far, so I chose the 300. And again, it's very important, you know, when we're coming to new places, I've got to focus on making sure that, yes, my mind is in a very good position to be able to perform at a very high level, but when it comes to the specific load territory that I'm entering, I can't just always think, right, I'm going into unknown territory, I'm going to do something that I've never done before, I'm going to lift a weight that I've never done before. Sometimes it's not about that. Sometimes it's about actually adapting to the situation you're in and making sure that you work with a load that you know you can perform extremely well with, that is still a challenge. And that sometimes means that it's not going to be up at what you're normally used to on a weekly basis, but you have to remember equipment's different, atmosphere, environment, temperature, meal timings, routine. You know, I had a 3-hour drive directly before this session. There was no waiting about. I had a 3-hour drive and then we literally came straight in here. So that is why I also done some back movements before just going straight into deadlifts. So it's things like that you have to remember. They still felt good. I mean, I can't be complaining with 6 paused reps at 300. Next up, Nautilus leverage row. So on a specific upper back row like this, I actually favour a little bit of trap involvement. So on something like the T-bar, I ultimately look to be able to eliminate the traps as much as possible. Although they will naturally come in ever so slightly, I try to just bias as much of my upper back as I possibly can without the traps. However, on something like this or a low row variation, I definitely do like to be able to really get that upper back contraction and then really finish off with a little bit of a shrug at the top, just to be able to make sure that, of course, they're not getting neglected. But I finished with 2 working sets on here, both with 2 plates per side, because to be honest, it is actually quite a heavy piece. Both felt incredible. I actually fell at 11 and 14 reps. 14 reps on the first set, 11 on the second, for anybody who actually gives a shit. Pull downs to finish here, 3 working sets, and again 10 to 12, but that was us done for this session. So of course, guys, hopefully you did enjoy it. If you can, drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and I'll catch up with you all in the next video.